Frank, 12 hours of boxing doesn't get any better, does it?
100%. It's a boxing fan's dream. All live on DAZN, 12 hours. We start in sunny Nottingham and we go to rainy Las Vegas after that. Some great fights, some great talent on the card. I'm buzzing for it.
And we'll start off with Nottingham. Dalton Smith on the top of the card, back where he belongs. A different city for him, outside of Sheffield doing it. But what do you think of this as a huge main event fight and a title fight for him?
Yeah, look, it's a shame we couldn't go to Sheffield. Obviously, we would have gone there. It wasn't available. The key was for us to keep Dalton busy, to keep Dalton active and get him out as soon as possible in the year. That's why we're here in Nottingham, and it's great to see him headlining again. He's had some time out the ring through injuries. He had a great win back in March, as I said, against Zepeda, a real world level operator, and now he needs to push on. He needs to keep that momentum going and be involved in the big fights. Dalton is a tremendous talent for British boxing. He's up there amongst the British fighters you look at now. He's one that can rule for a long time. He's 27 years old. And you see what he's already done. He goes in there for the European title on Saturday, and then after that, you've got to look at world honours.
I'm wondering, did that Zepeda result surprise you guys a little bit? Not the fact that Dalton won, but you look at the people that Zepeda's taken the distance, the rounds that he's put in against world-class operators, and Dalton got him out there in the 5th round in pretty spectacular fashion. Did that sort of make you think he was a little bit further in his development than you might have even thought?
I think we've seen with him over time, every time he's stepped up, he's shown he needs to be in there with people who test him, is the reality, I think. And he's shown every time improvements. And I think Zepeda, it was always going to be a tough fight. And there could have been tough points in that fight. But yeah, he showed that he deserves to be at that level. And it was great to see, But you want to work with fighters who want to challenge themselves. We want to push themselves, and that is something that Dalton Smith always does.
And you talk about fighters challenging themselves. Is this the last time we see Dalton Smith in a fight without a world title on the line for a while?
I think I'm confident and hopeful we can get him a world title shot this year. I think he's number 2 in the WBC. There's a lot going on with the belts, as I said in the press conference March 1st, the belts being fought for. Devin Haney's champion in recess as well. But he's in a great position, and if it's not this year for a world title fight, it'll be early part of next year. So early on in his career still, really, when you think about it. But the key is with Dalton Smith, as I said in the press conference, he will fight anyone. Doesn't matter what name, doesn't matter who they are, where they've been, he will get in there with anyone, and that's what you want from a fighter.
And you talk about fighters that will fight anyone. Harry Scarf in what I think could be the sleeper fight of the night against Conor Walker on this one. Talk us through what makes the co-main event so special.
Yeah, look, I think Conor Walker, we've seen time and time again, the way he fights just brings entertainment. Like, look back at that Lewis Crocker fight. I mean, he didn't get a win, but he went in there and he gave it everything. He's got to put the fight on Harry Scarf. Because Harry Scarf could box his way through it, but I think Conor Walker's got to go in there and put it on him. And Conor can do that. 100% he can do that, but we're in for a great fight there as the chief support, and a big opportunity for the winner coming out of that to move on to big fights.
And world title action, Ellie Scottney, Miyamoto getting her mandatory out of the way, but Motu can fight, serious puncher, big test, potential banana skin.
Yeah, look, as I said, sometimes mandatories can be frustrating, because it's like, and we've been there a million times where it's fights where it's hard for fighters to get motivated, being completely honest. Fighters want to always move forward. They want to do unifications. They could look at moving up to other fights. Ellie Scottney with Miyamoto has got an opponent who's coming to win, who's bringing the energy as well. Not just sitting back going, she's worked, Miyamoto's worked to get into this position, and now it's her opportunity. I think Ellie Scottney is going to show, as she has done time and time again, how good she is, and she's going to keep showing improvements in the ring. She's always in entertaining fights, and this fight can be nothing but that.
And moving along to a fight that it was a long process for both yourselves, the ring, Riyadh Season, Boxer, to put this one on. I think you know which fight I'm talking about. Conor Benn, Benn-Eubank Jr. Just talk us through what the home straight of that process was like to finally get that over the line.
Yeah, look, I've been very open over the years. I've never tried to shy away or hide from the fact that it was the fight I always wanted to see. It was a fight we spent so much time, effort on putting in place, and to get it done finally was a great feeling. It's taken a long time. And when you look back to, when was it, 2.5 years ago when this fight was originally supposed to take place, and You know, when you think about the hype, the buzz around that fight and how big it was, this is 10 times as big. This is huge. This is outside of Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury, with Fury now retired, the biggest fight in British boxing, I believe. And, you know, we got there. We got there. More details being announced very soon, but it's going to be a huge moment for the sport.
And in terms of undercard, I know you're not going to be able to give any names away at this point. It's still early stages. But what are we talking about for the composition of that undercard? We obviously expect huge things these days with some of the fights that Turki Al-Sheikh is involved in. What's that undercard going to look like?
Yeah, working through the undercard now. I think we'll have some news soon, you know, that His Excellency will announce, and the ring. You know, it's a great card. It's a brilliant card, and, you know, I'm excited. But for me, it's all about that main event. You know, that main event is something I've spent a lot of energy on over the last few years, and I'm just delighted we got it done.
And can I hazard a prediction? How do you think that fight that we've all been thinking about and talking about is going to play out?
No, look, I'm not doing predictions with the fight. You know, I'm in a difficult position. We obviously promote Conor Benn. I've got a great relationship with him. I have my family ties with Benn-Eubank. Ultimately, I'm not a boxing tactician. My job is not to be involved in the fight and the way it's going to go. My job is to make sure the event goes on, and it's a great event. May the best man win. It's irrelevant what I think. I just want to see a great fight, and I want to see a big moment for the sport, which this is. Sorry to sit on the fence.
Whenever I interview a female fighter and I say, who do you want to fight, who's the target, 9 times out of 10, if they're anywhere near her weight, they're going to say Katie Taylor. I'm wondering, what is 2025 shaping up like for Katie Taylor, coming off another absolute classic with Amanda Serrano?
Yeah, look, Katie Taylor, the trailblazer for female boxing, what she's done for the sport, you know, and just time and time again delivered every time she's got in that ring. You know, I think for the position she's in now, coming off the back of that Serrano fight, there's very few fights that really make sense for her in terms of she's fought everyone, really, when you look at it. And I think, you know, the Serrano trilogy is a massive fight. I think the Cameron trilogy is a massive fight. I'm sure there's a few other names that I've forgotten or not mentioning, but they're really the two for me at the stage of her career that I think she looks at. Because it's like, what more can you do in the sport? You've been involved in the biggest occasions. You've been involved in the biggest nights. And like, for me, Katie Taylor has been someone who, personally, I look at the events we've been involved with Katie Taylor, some of the best events we've ever done. Like the atmosphere, the vibe around it. She's a hero, you know, at home, and becoming a global star as well at the same time. So I think I want to see her in the biggest fights possible. How much longer the career goes on for, I don't know. That's for her to determine. But I think 2025 is going to see some of those big fights I mentioned there.
And I know I've spoke to Eddie about this in the past. You guys have been working hard when it comes to Katie, trying to get Croke Park over the line. There's a lot of obstacles to do that. For either of the fights you mentioned, is that where you would look to host it as a first choice?
Look, Croke Park's very difficult. Boxing is difficult in stadiums because it's a one-night event. You know, when concerts go, sometimes they're multi-night, they spread the cost. Boxing's expensive. Croke Park's very expensive. Again, we would love to see that. Whether it's possible, who knows? You know, we've got to do the things that make the most commercial sense as well for Katie Taylor. If that, you know, and if a Croke Park doesn't make the most commercial sense, sometimes it depends what drives you. Sometimes it could be money. Sometimes it could be doing something that you've always wanted to do, and that could be fighting in a certain place. Could be Croke Park. Could be another venue. But that will always remain something we'd love to do. Whether it's possible is another question.
And I'm going to come on to now what has sort of gripped the boxing world, which is first the Fury Joshua talk, then the Fury retirement. On the Matchroom side of things, are you taking it as read that Fury is retired, and are you just taking that at face value, or do you think there's still a lifeline for that fight potentially?
No, look, right now he's retired, so he's not looking at fights. But he has retired 4 or 5 times before, so I'm sure there's a chance he comes back out of retirement. So we have to wait and see. But we're not going to hold up Anthony Joshua's career waiting around to see if Tyson Fury is going to come back. That is a fight we all want to see. But we've got to focus on other fights as well at the same time.
And obviously, I know you can't say too much, but are those in motion now? Are the talks in place with certain heavyweights for an Anthony Joshua fight soon?
Yeah, there's lots of discussions, lots of things, but there's also lots of things going on in the heavyweight division. You've obviously got Joseph Parker's fighting Daniel Dubois for that title on February 22nd as well. We'll see what Usyk does next. So lots of moving parts in the division. I think you'll see Anthony Joshua back out in the summer.
And just finally, taking the main events that are taking place here in Nottingham out of it, throwing ahead to that American card, what are you looking forward to most seeing on that card? It's a very strong one from top to bottom.
Yeah, I think you've got some tremendous prospect talent. You've got Zakim Moses, who's a brilliant fighter. We saw his debut. Shakur Stevenson's cousin, I believe, back out again on the card. Out there as well. You've got Nishant Dev's professional debut, Olympian, a fighter we recently signed. So excited about seeing the journey start with him. Andy Cruz, a fighter who I believe, this year could fight for a world title. Started his career in 12 rounders, probably one of the most talented fighters out there right now. He's back out on the card, and obviously Diego Pacheco. Similar positions to Dalton Smith in many ways, who's gone through the ranks and ready to challenge for those world titles. He's number one ranked in the WBO rankings in super middleweight. We'll see what happens, obviously with Canelo Alvarez, but there's an opportunity soon for him to fight for that world title. So buzzing about Diego Pacheco, a tough fight against Nelson as well. Who's going to bring it all. So what a fight night. 12 hours of boxing, all live on DAZN. We start at just after 5 o'clock on Saturday and we run till 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. Don't miss it.
You can't say fairer than that. Frank Smith, thanks ever so much.
Cheers, mate.